Greetings everyone, so a slightly later reaction to the US election results. I was actually hoping to look at the Catholic vote, but that is still, I think, unofficial. They haven't got the confirmed figures for that yet, at least at the time of recording this video. But exit polls do seem to show that more Catholics voted for Trump this time round than they did in 2020. However, there were also figures that suggested more Catholics supported Kamala Harris on abortion issues. That's very sad to hear, but not surprising, sadly, since I think it's known that in the USA, the majority of Catholics think that women have a right to abortion, just like the majority of Catholics don't believe in the true presence of Christ in the Eucharist. Now, I wanted to play you a clip from somebody who claims to be a Catholic, one of the panelists from the TV show in the USA, The View, that I'm going to assume none of my audience watches, and I don't watch either, but sometimes I see some clips from it. This lady called Sunny Hostin was rather upset, unsurprisingly, as were the rest of the View panelists, because they're all left-wing and they wanted Kamala Harris to win. She was upset with one particular demographic of people, and that is to say white women. Because women in general were supposed to turn out in this election and vote for Kamala Harris. Why were they supposed to do that? Because they were supposed to be voting for their reproductive rights. That was what was being pushed. If you vote for her, then you will have autonomy over your own body. You will have the right to have an abortion. Essentially, you'll have a right to kill your own baby, but of course that's not how they put it. And so women were supposed to turn out in droves and vote for Kamala, but they didn't. Specifically, white women did not. The majority of white women, at least according to early statistics, did not vote for Kamala Harris, and this really upset Sunny Hostin, who essentially, maybe indirectly, she didn't use the exact word, called them stupid.
Black women tried to save this country again last night. 92% of black women voted for the vice president. You have Latinas in the 70 percentile voting for the vice president. What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump, uneducated white women. So why do you think that uneducated white women voted against their reproductive health freedoms?
You know, when you refer to a group of people as uneducated more than once, you're essentially trying to say that they're stupid, that they're ignorant, and that's why they voted the way they did. So she was very upset. This is the problem with the Democratic Party. They think they have certain voters in the bag. They think that certain people should be voting for them. And if they don't vote for them, it's treachery. It's outrageous. How could you do that? You're a turncoat. You're a traitor. And some of the people that the Democratic Party expect to vote for them are black Americans. They probably expect Hispanic, Latino Americans to vote for them as well. They expect anyone who considers themselves part of the LGBT community to vote for them, and they expect women to be voting for them. And they really harped on the issue of abortion this time round, and they expected most women in the country to vote for them, but that didn't happen. And the problem here, as Sunny Hostin pointed out, was white women. They messed everything up. It did not occur to her, even though she is a Catholic, that perhaps the reason they did not vote the way she wanted was because actually a lot of these women are Christians and they don't see abortion as a right. They don't see it as healthcare. They don't see killing your own baby as something that they have a right to do. That's the narrative they try to set. It's a right that you have and they're trying to take it away from you. That's not the case at all, and they know this. It's interesting because when I watch any video where abortion is discussed, because I'm in the UK, I'll get a little piece of text underneath the video from the NHS explaining what abortion is. Now, perhaps if you're in the USA, you'll get something slightly different but similar, or if you're in any other country. But in the UK, it's an NHS text, and it essentially says abortion is the ending of a pregnancy, either by taking pills or by a surgical procedure. That's what it tells you. It doesn't mention the child, the baby, anywhere. It just says it's the ending of a pregnancy. Now, of course, Democrats were really pushing hard on abortion before the election, and some of the speeches given by famous people were just absurd.
I am not a politician. I am not a doctor or a lawyer, but I played all of those on television. But I am a father of a daughter, and it's important to me for her life now and for the future and other fathers' daughters to be able to have within their lifetime the fundamental right of freedom of choice. There should not be anyone but them deciding what happens to their own bodies.
It's quite unbelievable that a parent would say they want their daughter, first of all, to be able to have promiscuous sex, to be able to fornicate, but that isn't a right that's been taken away from you. So they're already preempting the fact that they believe their daughter is going to be fornicating, and now on top of that sin, they want them to be able to commit another sin, and that is to be able to kill their child if they become pregnant. That not only is a sin, but it'll also be very traumatic for the girl doing it. What kind of a parent would wish that on their child? They could tell just how degenerate the Democratic Party is just by some of the people who are endorsing Kamala Harris. I mean, you had the wonderful Cardi B.
How you guys doing tonight?
If you don't know who that is, please let it stay that way. She also endorsed Joe Biden previously. She wrote a song a few years ago that's probably one of the most awful songs I've ever heard. It's called WAP, W-A-P, and I'm not even going to tell you what that stands for if you don't know. If you do know, then you know how awful it is. The most awful song with the most awful lyrics and the most awful music video. She was endorsing Kamala Harris, as was Eminem.
Detroit!
Who also has beautiful lyrics. Yes, that was sarcasm. Beyonce, and just people from pop culture, because that's who they know might vote for them, because they've already been brainwashed by the culture, by mass media, by the entertainment industry. And so they need big, well-known figures from there who have been brainwashed themselves to then bring in these people to vote. Personally, and I'm not a US citizen, I don't vote, so it doesn't really matter as much what I think. Although obviously it is of interest to know who the President of the United States of America is, considering that it's like the main big superpower of the world, so it can impact the rest of the world. It would be nice to have had a better candidate, but with what there was an obvious candidate not to vote for. I think it was Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire who said before the election, you know, in terms of who to vote for, it's simple. You don't vote for the one who wants to kill babies. And even if there are other issues where you're not too sure who you prefer, or if there are certain character traits about one candidate or the other that concern you, this one topic alone should make it obvious if you're a Christian, if you're a Catholic. Who's the one that wants to make it easier to kill babies? Don't vote for them. It's as simple as that, really. And thankfully, they did not win. And to be fair, she wasn't a good candidate anyway. And that's another thing that I suppose people can be thankful for. She just wasn't a very good candidate. Her team wasn't very good around her. They kept making mistakes. They seemed to advise her not to go to this Catholic dinner that's held every year. And before US elections, both of the candidates tend to turn up to that, and she was told not to go to that. She didn't appear on the Joe Rogan podcast. That's like the biggest podcast in the world. And her opponent did. So that was another mistake she made. And generally when talking, when giving interviews, she just wasn't very good. And when giving speeches, she wasn't very good. So even if you want to just purely go on meritocracy and how good of a candidate you think they are, Kamala Harris just wasn't a good candidate. But as I said, there were certain issues where you surely just could not vote for her if you are a person of the Christian faith, because it would be contrary to your Christian faith. Anyway, folks, let me know what you think about the election results. Thank you very much for watching. Have a blessed day.